I just leave you with one thought at this juncture, not that putting an end to the debate. Whatever you might have thought of the British Labour Party in the earlier period, how can anybody in the communist movement actually even think of supporting social democracy? Yeah. It's waging murderous imperialist wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah. It's supporting the Zionist murderous regime in Israel. It supports such enlightened representatives of democracy as the Saudi monarchy and the Gulf statelets. Sure. It is on the side of the Egyptian regime, which actually does not even allow any elections to be held properly. And it attacks working people at home. It's not on the side of the working people at home, and it attacks oppressed peoples abroad. How can anybody even think of having anything to do with it while claiming to be a communist? Forget about the past. Let us say that communists have done all the horrendous things in the past and social democrats were there for a united front. How can you have a united front with imperialist hyenas who are waging war against oppressed people and attacking working people in this country? It's become a shibboleth that we will join the Labour Party, we will do that. And then all it comes down to is Ed Miliband is fantastic because he said that he'll raise the minimum wage to £7.50. Oh. Well, is socialism then £1.50 an hour? Well, if that is it, then it's not my type of socialism, it's somebody else's socialism. Yes, comrade.
I'm a huge admirer of Joseph Stalin. And the achievements of the Soviet Union under the Stalin leadership were absolutely magnificent. And I have no dispute with anyone who says that from the time of Khrushchev, revisionism took hold of the international communist movement. But we cannot ignore the character of the country in which we live and its traditions. The simple fact of the matter is that the struggle for parliamentary democracy in this country was a vital key ingredient of winning most of the social reforms that the working class have got today. Social democracy, yes, absolutely it is the agent of capitalism. Yes, its principal purpose in terms of its ideology is to be an agent of capitalism. But the dialectic process operates within the Labour movement and the Labour Party. Not everybody in the Labour Party is as right-wing, thank God, as Tony Blair. Far from it. And it has been in times of struggle that the Labour Party has delivered marginally most for the working class. 1945-51, whatever the limitations, and they were considerable, the delivery of the welfare state. I lived through the 1940s and I was born in the 1930s. My father never worked. We lived in the most horrendous housing conditions. We could not make ends meet. We couldn't pay to go to a doctor. Are you telling me that the kind of reforms that we have won with a free health service and better education and marginally better housing are not important gains that we need to prize and build on? And are you really telling me that in the present situation, where the dismantling of the welfare state is the principal objective of capitalism, is not something we've got to get the widest unity around to fight today? And within the Labour Party and the Labour movement generally, there are many people who are on our side. I mean, I'm bemused because it seems to me that despite the fact you say you're against ultra-leftism, there is an element of ultra-leftism in the line that's being advanced here. With
respect, neither I nor my comrades are telling you any such thing, that these reforms were not important. But we simply happen to suggest to you that these reforms were not the product of the parliamentary system. Just 2 seconds. These reforms were the product of a mixture of two things. The ferment in the working class movement following the Second World War. And secondly, I suggest to you the victories of the Red Army in Eastern and Central Europe. In Eastern and Central Europe.
I've no dispute with that.
And it's been the job of every capitalist party since the Keynesian consensus came to an end to dismantle those reforms.
Including the Labour Party.
And that includes all the governments that have been formed in this country, Labour Party and Conservative Party. If the education service, if the health service is being gutted through stealthy privatization, through bringing the market into these areas, It's not just the job of the Conservatives, it's also the job of Labour. They do it in the name of reform. There's reform and reform, and what they're really doing is backwards. How can you, when the workers in this country were fighting against the trade union laws, anti-trade union laws rather, brought in by the Tories, Neil Kinnock, as the leader of the Labour Party, said, we do not want you to go on strike to get rid of these laws. We don't want you to bring down the Thatcher government. When Labour comes to power, it will repeal those laws. Labour has been in power for 13 years. Those laws are still there. There's not a single party that's going to do it. Are we really become so backward in England and Scotland and in Wales and in Cornwall that our forefathers over 100 years ago could become tall puddle martyrs and actually could put an end to anti-trade union laws, and we now meekly accept them in the name of what? In the name of the traditions of the labour movement. What are these traditions of the labour movement? This labour movement.
But who is saying we should meekly accept these? Nobody's saying that. I mean, that really is abusing the position that people disagree with you.